Welcome to the Founderville.vc podcast. This is a podcast where we like to talk to founders, talk to entrepreneurs, and anybody really just supports the entrepreneurial ecosystem. My name's Shay Hauser. I'm here with my co-founder and partner, Scott Millwood. And today we have a guy that I know pretty well. I think I've known him around 52-odd, 3-odd, 4-odd years. I don't know how old you are at this point.
52-odd.
52-odd being a key word in this characterization, I'd say. But anyway, my brother, Charles Hauser, who is the co-founder and CEO of Strata Platforms. Charles, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Good to have you here, man. So to start, let's hear a little bit about Strata. Tell us about Strata Platforms.
Strata is a software provider, and we sell software to a very focused vertical. And our vertical is with economic developers who are looking to market their properties to the world. And then you've got site selection experts or corporates that are looking to find properties to build their new facility or manufacturing facility. And so we have three platforms that help both sides of that market either do that. They're either helping them market the properties, and the platform also has, for the site selectors, helping them find the properties. And so it's a good mix of a marketplace where they can meet and exchange information and get deals done faster. That's really the value proposition of what we're trying to do, is eliminate work hours in that process. And so our value proposition with both parties is take away work, automate it. It has not been the market had not been very. Nobody has ever tried to automate it. Is what I'm trying to say. It was Microsoft Excel. That's what they used to exchange information. There was no automation. And so I think we've got a really good product for a really tight-knit market that we can come in and really disrupt.
Nice. That's super cool. I mean, we're obviously big fans. Founderville's an investor in the company, and that's one of the things we loved about it was industry that had not automated. There was a lack of automation, lack of efficiency. They were still using Excel, cut and paste Word documents, dropping stuff into PowerPoints and then PDFs, and it wasn't just all of this mess.
Yep.
And then unstructured data. This is unstructured data in its private databases. Mm. So the ability for AI to sort of disrupt some of this stuff is a lot less than some of the other companies that we see out there. Tell us, I mean, how did you find yourself in the startup journey anyway? How'd that happen?
My whole career has really been part of being an entrepreneur. My father was an entrepreneur. Our father was an entrepreneur. I went to go work for them out of college. Corporate Telemanagement Group was my first job. 2 years after corporate telemanagement, the divestiture of the Bell companies happened. We saw an opportunity. We started a phone company. Obviously, the phone company to compete with Bell South, and that was State Communications. Did that for several years. Had another company called Green Cloud Defense that was a data center business. We had 6 data centers across the United States, and ended up selling that to a private equity-backed company called 1111 Systems. Kind of sat on the sideline for about a year, and Strata was getting spun out of a local company here. I met the CEO, Dee Caldwell. Told her I didn't know anything about economic development, and I don't know anything about site selection, but I like to sell software products to people and solve solutions or solve problems for people. And so that's what we did. That's how I got involved with Strata, and it's been a really good fit.
You named Green Cloud Defense and State Communications. We had a few pivots in there.
We did have a few pivots in there. Several. I think the best one to me was at Green Cloud. Mm-hmm. And when we were at Green Cloud, we started selling phone service and cloud services. And I guess about 2 years into it,
that's right,
we were selling a lot of phone service and not a lot of cloud service. And none of us really liked the phone business. Mm-hmm. And I think at that time, the phone revenue for us was around 60% of our revenues.
Yes, 70.
Wow. And I said, the only chance we've got in making our partners or getting them to sell cloud was to stop selling phone service. Mm-hmm. And so we sat in a room, again, 70% of revenue, and we made the decision we're going to stop selling that service. And that was a pivot.
Yeah.
That was a tough pivot.
Yeah, that was tough.
Because the revenue, we were growing, we had recurring revenue streams, but the phone business had gotten ugly. And we were going to have to hire a bunch of people to keep growing it and scaling it. And we really wanted to sell cloud services.
Yeah.
We really wanted to sell virtual servers, disaster recovery solutions, backup, and our partners wouldn't do it. So we made the decision that day.
Yeah.
And about 4 months later, we were out of the phone business.
Wow.
It took a lot too because it impacted personnel. This wasn't, remember? I mean, it wasn't just, hey, we're gonna halt selling this one service.
Yep.
We did some serious headcount
Cut
changes.
it, right.
Yeah.
We had to cut it.
Yeah.
And learn that lesson. Honestly, I was at some finance trade show back in the mid 2000s, and I listened to Mark Randolph, the co-founder of Netflix, talk about them making the transition from DVDs to broadband. And they went to their board and basically said, the only way this is going to happen is if we cut.
Kill
and it
the
was
DVDs.
we got to crush it.
Yeah.
We got to crush. So you can still order the DVDs, but they stopped all sales and marketing efforts. They stopped all hiring. Yeah. They redesigned the entire workforce for engineering for broadband. Yeah. And it's like
that is a tough one.
It worked for them. Yeah. So like that seems like that's our only option to survive.
And
here.
it worked. If we wouldn't have done that,
yeah,
we would have been circling the drain a year and a half later.
Yeah.
It would have been, we'd have been heavy in the phone business.
You guys could see sort of the handwriting on the wall that this line of business, while it's generating revenue, isn't going to be profitable, isn't going to be the future.
Exactly right.
And you make that decision
proactively
versus letting it just happen to you.
Yeah, and it did two things. It told our partners we were getting out of the phone business. That was one thing. But it made all of us focus intensely on how do we get this product going into market and having it, sellable, right, through our channel partners. Second pivot there was even though we did that, our partners still weren't selling it at a rate we were happy with.
Yeah.
And so we had a small pivot there and said, we got to go after a different type of partner. Mm-hmm. And we went from the old telecom agents that we'd been selling stuff through for 20 years to managed service providers.
Yeah.
The guys selling IT services. And our value proposition with them was very clear. You don't have to build out your own data center to sell cloud. Only a few of your customers probably want cloud or need cloud, right? So use us under your brand. You mark up, the margins of the product, and we're just behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And that transformed us.
Yeah.
That really did. That put us on a scale in 2 or 3 years where MSPs that had built their own cloud and maybe had built up a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 business, they were migrating it to us. So we were getting bigger deals because they realized there was a better way for them to do it. And so growth kicked in. Mm-hmm. And by 2016, we were the fastest growing company in South Carolina.
That's right.
So that pivot was probably like 2013.
I think it was late 2013, early 2014.
And it changed.
Shut it down.
It changed things.
Yeah.
That ability to discern where the turn is, where the next wave is, right? Mm-hmm. And to get out of the wave that you're on and look over the horizon and go, there's a better wave out there. I mean, where do you draw on that? How does that judgment come to you over the course of years?
It's hard to pinpoint it's a lot of it's gut feel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of it's gut feel. A lot of it, some pivots are completely obvious, okay? And another one, I got a great one from State Communications days. So we started selling local and long distance phone service to residential. That was our plan. With no network, reselling Bell South, gross margins. We thought we'd get 30% gross margins, and off we went. Well, something happened around 1997, and it was called the internet. And we didn't have an internet product. We were local and long distance. And so dial-up internet, and then there was the invention of high speed. For us, it was DSL.
Yeah.
Some people were doing T1s, a lot of others build out. But we quickly pivoted from not needing a ton of capital to needing a ton of capital because we had to build out all of our own networks. Keep in mind, I was 25, 26. Shay was 28, 29. Russell was 28. 20. You know, we had a young team.
Yeah.
And we were like, we probably need like $200 million. You know what I mean? And we were just stupid enough to think, well, we can do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but we did. Nortel kind of propped us up. Sold us a bunch of equipment that they financed, of course, right? I mean, the model was different.
How it works, yeah.
It's how it works.
So
and off we went. But, you know, that was a huge pivot, but that was obvious.
Yeah.
Like, guys, we got to have an internet product.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to the internet.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So that one was obvious. Some are not so obvious.
So, I mean, but the number of times you do it, and, you know, we like to talk about scar tissue, right? Mm-hmm. And what we do, how we look at things. There's a little bit of pattern recognition. If you've been through it, it doesn't have to be 100 times. But if you've been through these types of turns numerous times, you do get a little bit of built-in judgment that comes out of that to say, I'm always wary. In the back of my mind, I'm kind of like, what's going to eat us?
Yeah.
I can't see it. I know there's something lurking.
Yep.
Do you, as you're looking at this opportunity today and running this new venture, what do you look behind and around you today in Strata that you think through? Is there a pivot necessarily? Is there a minor pivot? Is there a course correction that you've got in your mind now that you kind of think is out there to skate towards?
I think the main thing for us is how to – obviously AI is the big that's the big buzzword, right?
Right.
Our current platforms have no artificial intelligence built in them.
Yep.
None. Okay. Is there a way we can integrate some AI tools to help either market the properties better through search or whatever, or make the decision on which site is better based on whatever it is, you know, factors the site selector is looking for? So can we integrate AI into that? That to me, that's the question we get the most.
Yep.
And that's the question I'm trying. We've got 2 interns right now that are at Clemson that are doing nothing but looking at what AI tools we can put on top of the platform to help make those decisions easier or faster.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
If you look at a site selection project, literally the RFI that a site selection expert will send out might have 800 questions. Okay.
Crazy.
Out of those 800 questions, 50 could probably be scraped off the public internet, address, latitude, longitude, size, you know, things that are very like brochureware for commercial properties. 700 of those questions are not. They're totally private data that literally just a Duke Power man may know based on where that site is. Yeah, it'll take us about 6 months to get 20 megawatts there, right? I mean, it's nowhere on the internet.
Right.
It's nowhere in the world. So the site selection expert or the economic developer who's trying to respond to that RFI has got to get their Duke Power guy involved, got to get their Greenville Water person involved, got to get their telecom guy involved. All these different pieces of the puzzle. They're calling them going, hey, Bob, at that 200 acres over there off Riley Smith Road, they're wanting to know how fast it'd take us to get 100 megawatts. Well, Bob's going to have to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's no AI. There's no AI behind that, right? And so, whereas I love our business because it's very defensible against AI, I do think we can build in some tools to help make the decision faster, make it run faster.
Well, it seems like what you guys identified came out of the kind of grassroots needs that you know this spun out of, right? It came out of using these tools, building these tools to do this kind of work, and then spinning this out. It seems like the first leg of the journey is this replacing the spreadsheet email layer, right? And then you've got the structured thing. That's where you are now.
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now.
Replace that layer with a structured database and a SaaS tool, and then perhaps layer in some AI agent technology on top of that as you go. But we love the fact that this market that you all are pursuing is a small market. It's never really been hit before, and frankly, that you and Didi kind of see this thing and go, we think we can build a SaaS company on top of this.
Yes.
And of course, right now, the fashion show of the moment in VC is SaaS is dead.
Yeah.
We don't believe that. We love a small market. We love a market that can be automated and you can go after it. It'll come back at some other point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we've got a great tool. It does what it says it's going to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It does speed up the process. It eliminates a lot of work hours in a project.
Mm-hmm.
That means a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of our customers tell us on a site selection project, it can eliminate somewhere between 140 and 180 work hours.
Wow.
That's from start to finish.
Yeah.
Okay. The biggest site selectors in the world are consultants that charge $300, $400, $500, $600 an hour.
Yeah.
So $180
Yeah.
per project
Right.
at that rate, and they're doing, call it 15, 20 projects a year.
Yeah, that's a lot of dollars.
It's a lot of dollars. Yeah. So I think that the ROI will catch people's attention.
Yeah.
And the people that we have talked to about it, that look at it, go, we don't have anything like this.
Right.
And these are big four consulting firms, right, that have unlimited resources and a big team of very smart people, and they say, we don't have anything like this.
What's been the biggest challenge as you've come, coming from the land of selling through resellers and really kind of telecom infrastructure, internet world, to application in economic development? What's been the biggest challenge of taking on this role?
Biggest challenge so far for us is the time of the deals.
Yeah.
So just the sales cycle is a lot lengthier than I'm used to.
Yeah.
You can find an economic developer that says, we like this tool, we need this tool, we want this tool, but we got to wait till July when our next budget comes around. And you're like, really?
Yeah.
And so that's frustrating. When you get every buy sign, no demand, they go, but we got to wait at least 8 months.
Right.
And you're like, man.
Yeah.
So that's been a challenge for us. But in general, it's been great. I think that one of the things have figured out is economic developers are great people. They're very positive people. They're trying to make their communities better, right? They're trying to bring in the next BMW or Scout Motors or Boeing, right? And so they are positive people that are always trying to sell their either county or city or state or region or whatever it is. And so I've enjoyed that. Very positive people, good personalities that are interesting to talk to. That I didn't know any economic developers. This was new for me. And so I'm traveling around and meeting people. And there's some similarities there between economic development and entrepreneurship. I mean, let's be honest. If you're successful in entrepreneur, you're creating a bunch of jobs.
Right.
And you're proud of those jobs.
Yeah.
Whether, I was thinking the other day, we started State Communications almost 30 years ago now. Almost 30 years. And there are still people downtown working for Windstream, probably 100 plus people. I don't even know, I'm guessing. So those jobs have been around for 30 plus years. That's a good
You've been
feeling.
in economic development for 30 years.
There you go. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And so there are some similarities there. Job creation is fun.
Yeah. Well, put the whole Hauser clan together. How many jobs have been created by Hausers in Greenville? There's a lot.
There's a lot of jobs, that's for sure, and a lot of jobs that spun out of those companies too.
Right.
No different than DataStream, right?
Yeah.
A lot of different jobs that came out. I mean, we're what we do is the core of economic development, right? We write a check, we invest in a company, and then you take that capital, and then you were then the engine of the economic development. You're spending it on inside of the service provider community, whether it was Copus or Designly, or it doesn't really matter who, it's flowing through the community. That is, and then of course there's jobs. Yeah. Right. And now interns.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's a cool feeling. We're still young. We're still small.
Yeah.
And we've had some big wins lately. And that gets you fired up.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Can you talk about any of those? You don't have to drop names, but
we had a state economic development group decide to go to contract with us for a couple of our platforms. We have had a Big Four consulting firm just sign up with us. We have had, what is my third one I'm trying to think of? Oh, we had a railroad. We had a Class 2 railroad, which, again, starting this, I was like, why are railroads customers? I don't understand that. And they're like, well, they got land.
Yeah.
They got land that's rail served. And so there's a specific client that needs a huge manufacturing facility that's got to be rail served. I'm like, I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
What's the difference between Class 1 and Class 2 rail?
Class 1 are the major guys. Okay. And keep in mind, we've got 4 Class 1s. So we've got CPKC, BNSF, CSX, and Union Pacific as customers. So those are all Class 1s.
Like an economic
That's
developer.
exactly right.
Class 1, Class 2 railroad.
You got
it. I've Googled that a few times lately. Yeah. But we've got some smaller railroads as well. But it's a very focused. They're in economic development. Yeah. They're trying to land manufacturing deals on their railroads.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing just learning about the business. The power companies, I mean, all the utilities, whether it's power, water, gas, whatever, plus the railroads. I mean, they've got economic development groups for sure, and they are out working it in conjunction with, in Greenville, whether it's GACD, GADC, or
Greenville Area Development Corporation.
Or John Loomis's group or whatever it is. I mean, there's a lot behind that.
Yeah, it's so at a macro level right now in the site selection community, data centers obviously are dominating the conversation.
Oh yeah,
dominating.
Interesting.
The Big Four. Right, AWS, Meta, Google, they are absolutely Microsoft. Sorry, they are absolutely the economic developers have a lot going on in that regard. Right now, the balance of that is how much is the right amount of a 1 million square foot data center in a state or in a region, and can the utility afford it, right? So where it makes a lot of news that Meta is going to build a $10.5 billion data center in Louisiana that needs 2 gigawatts. You don't just come up with 2 gigawatts.
Right.
It takes a lot to do that. So there are, and those RFIs are going on behind the scenes everywhere. I mean, it's proliferating. So that's the big thing going on in economic development and site selection.
So we're getting this continued massive wave of data center build out, which is also tied into energy.
Yep.
Is can those two cohabitate together? You see that as the dominant wave that's going on in economic
absolutely, because it's and where the balance is because a data center, such as the Google data center in Dorchester County, that is going to be huge. It might only employ 30 people.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're taking, I don't know what that one is specifically. Say it's 500 megawatts.
Yeah.
And employing 30 people. Now Dorchester County is going to get a big benefit of the tax base, right? Obviously, it's going to pump it up, but it's not a whole lot of jobs.
Right.
And so trying to balance that between a Scout Motors, which is 4,000 jobs, right? And probably 100 megawatts, right? So it's that balance there because it's like, oh, we got Google calling us, we got Meta calling us, we got Azure calling us or Microsoft calling us, and it's like, yeah, but we've already committed this over there and committed that over there, and so the utilities, obviously they're under pressure to produce all of this power.
Well, you see why Microsoft's investing in reviving a nuclear facility.
Yes, they bought it.
Crazy.
Yeah. And so that's a crazy thing going on, right? Because let's be honest, in the state of South Carolina, we've got 2 nuclear reactors sitting idle right now that need about another $5 billion to finish to get up and going.
Which is a rounding error to those guys.
Well, yeah. I mean, so think about from that perspective, if AWS says here's
spin it up,
here's $10 billion,
spin it up,
we'll take it and we're going to spin it up. So now we got AWS in the power business, right? So I mean, there's a lot of things going on from that regards that is very interesting from a data center perspective and power perspective. That's got a lot of people scratching their heads.
Well, I just read OpenAI is doing one in Texas. It's going to be 1 million square feet. It's something completely insane, and the amount of money is ridiculous. They've got to partner with somebody. They don't have the capital to build it out. What are the economic developers? I mean, I guess they'd much rather have a Scout Motors than a huge data center. I mean,
I don't want to speak for them. I think that is the $1 million question, right? Because I'm sure it's dollars and cents like everything.
Mm-hmm.
A 1 million square foot Google data center, I'm sure, is going to increase the tax base tremendously.
Sure.
I'm sure they're going to get a lot more money out of it.
Right.
They probably are not huge on incentives because they only employ 30 people. They can't demand a ton of incentives.
Yeah.
I might be over my skis here because I've never been in the middle of those negotiations.
What we know is they need more software.
That's right. I do know that.
Definitely need that.
But when Scout Motors came to town with 4,000 jobs, the state of South Carolina gave them the land, 500 acres. Said, "Here, just take it."
Yeah.
Right. And so that is a Columbia changing event.
Yeah.
Right.
No question.
Because we all know, being from the upstate, what BMW did for the upstate.
For sure.
It's not just
It's not
BMW.
4,000 jobs.
It's not just BMW and whatever they employ now, 8,000, 10,000 people. Right. It's probably 100,000 people in the ecosystem in the upstate tied to that. I mean, that was the creme de la creme of economic development.
For sure.
Right. And who drove that? Carol Campbell. Carol Campbell drove that.
Yeah.
And it transformed our entire community.
Yeah. There's no question about it. Last topic I want to talk about is raising capital. I mean, some of the founders out there, they want to raise capital. What's the environment like now from your perspective?
Raising capital is not easy. It's not. Yeah. And the people that are,
even when you got a brother in the
yeah, it's just it's not easy. I mean, the people that are first trying to be entrepreneurs right now, and it's their first time. It's difficult, right? Because people want to bet on a winner, and not having that track record is tough. And artificial intelligence is clouding up the entire ecosystem. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what kind of software you sell. Everyone wants to know if AI is going to take out your business. Yeah. God, everybody wants to know it. Yeah. And you could have the most defendable answer in the world, such as 750 data points that our site selector is trying to collect are private. Yeah. Nowhere to be found on the internet. And they go, well, I don't know, AI might take that out. Yeah. Like, how? Yeah. You got to call Bob across town to find out how Duke.
Bob's just going to be a bot.
Yeah. I know.
Bob the bot.
Right. Bob the bot. I mean, so it's like, in the software industry, it's tough because of that. It is. Because no one's got the crystal ball. No one really knows where it's going to end up.
There's a lot of FUD in the market, fear, uncertainty, and doubt about, am I going to step on a banana peel here if I put $300K or $1 million into this thing and it turns out it gets eaten by AI?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the big risk.
You're the second podcast today in talking about fundraising where the first words were, it's really hard.
It's hard.
It's really hard. And I think for all of our founders who watch it, we know it's hard, right? And I think that's one of those things. Like, we've all done it. We understand what it is. We know it's hard. Mm-hmm. And understanding the gotchas in that, whether you're first time or whether you're second or fifth or I don't know, ninth time, whatever version it is. It's never easy.
We've joked about it over the years, but it is so true. It is harder to raise $1 million than $100 million.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
If you want to raise $100 million, you can make and have. And let's be honest,
you got the product.
You've got a scalable business plan that is, is moving up. You're not in beta. Right. You can make 5 phone calls. Yeah. And the consortium will make it happen. Raising $1 million, you don't make 1 or 5 phone calls. No, you got to parse it together. Right. 25 here, 10 there, 20 here, and it's just an ugly process. Yeah. Whoever can figure out how to automate that process.
Well, that's exactly. I mean, look, that's ultimately what we've tried to do. Yeah. I mean, it's go to the typical investor that would write the $25,000 check and basically say, stop writing $25,000 checks. Yeah. Just halt that. And it's about capital being brought together collected and managed by a couple of people
Yeah.
that can place bigger bets. I mean,
Yeah.
that is ultimately all we're trying to do at Founderville. And we have a responsibility to return capital to our investors.
Yep.
We also have a responsibility that we feel to continue the fundraising over time so that we can put additional capital to work to keep this little bitty flywheel that's starting
Yeah.
to really get it spinning.
No
And
doubt.
that ultimately is going to bring other capital here. I mean, we need other capital here. We can't do it all on our own, but certainly we're at least building, the baby steps here, baby steps to get this thing moving.
Yeah. Yeah. And we all know it'll get better. It will happen.
Yeah.
But it's tough.
Little by little. Helps when you have results. Helps when you have something
does.
to point to. And you guys have got good traction. You've got good users. You got great stories. Appreciate you sharing the stories on the wins. I mean, it's in the early days, it's not always, as we talk about all the time, it's not always about exactly how much money gets generated. It's, do the customers like it?
Yeah.
Do they find value in it? Do they continue to use it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Those things eventually lead to the revenue.
That's right.
And you guys are getting great shots at it now. So super pleased you're in with Dee Dee running this thing and making it go.
I'm again, you go back 2 years, I would not have guessed in a million years this is what I'd be doing. I'm having fun. I enjoy the team. We got a small team, but we're very effective. And, I spend my job trying to sell stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and I think everyone understands that if you're a founder now and you're in the software business, you got to sell it.
You better be selling.
You
That's
better
right.
be selling it.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't be the tech owner that's afraid to sell it because you're going to have a long road to hoe.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. Charles, thanks for coming out. It's always good to do these things in person. We appreciate the time. We know it takes time to hop in the car and drive down to the studio, but
I enjoyed
it's been great.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Founderville.vc. Thanks for tuning in. We're over and out.